So, Tiger just gave my speech, okay? And better than I could. Just, I wish my mother could have just heard that introduction.
You want another hug?
My mother is up there. My father was a union vice president, and I grew up at a kitchen table with a union vice president as a father, you know, talking about how the unions built the middle class of our country, the unions what made our country great, the unions who lift up every other worker, every other family in the country because of the fights that they wage. The ceiling just gets higher and higher and higher for the benefits that every other family is able to enjoy. So, I mean, oh my goodness, I think a better way of describing the role that unions play is just using the word tiger. Because that's who you are. You're the tigers. You're the fighters. You know, the tiger is aptly named, but it would be a better way of just describing who you are. You're the tiger workers. You're the ones that go out there, do the work, fight in order to make sure that everyone gets the benefits which they deserve for their families. And I can't thank you, Mark, enough for your great friendship over the years as well, and for your leadership. You're the cutting edge union, you're the leaders, you're out there, no matter where I go, no matter what the fight is, AFSCME is there. And to Jim Durkin over here, I just heard the Lieutenant Governor talk about marionettes, and that's Jim always over in the corner, organized to make sure that everything is put together. And to Nancy, thank you so much, and to Kevin, thank you for all of your great work. It is just absolutely a great honor for me to be here and to be up right after the great Elizabeth Warren, who we need for you to make sure she gets another term in the United States Senate. It's absolutely imperative that she is up and protected. This is just an amazing moment in our country's history, and I just want to say to all of the workers of AFSCME, the nation's largest and fastest growing public service employees union, the DPW workers repairing our streets and keeping our roads safe, the direct care workers taking care of our most vulnerable, the cafeteria workers keeping us fed, the public safety workers keeping us safe, and on and on and on. The work that you do is absolutely essential to ensuring that our society actually works. The only group more important to our daily lives than the AFSCME workers are the Swifties, who are making sure we get friendship bracelets and young people get out and are registered to vote. She has 260 million followers. So we gotta organize, they're learning how to organize the way AFSCME organizes for every election. You know, just getting the vote out. Because AFSCME knows that worker power only grows when you put it on the line to take your rights. You can't beg for your rights, you have to take your rights. That's what my father always said. And that's why I have always stood with workers on the picket line, like just yesterday when I was with Unite Here, local 26 hotel workers on the picket line, fighting for fair wages and benefits. For them, it's just plain wrong that workers provide top-of-the-line service at hotels for their guests, but they receive bottom-of-the-barrel benefits and wages from those extremely profitable companies. They have earned a fair contract and they deserve it. And again, it's just what I heard from my father. You gotta go out and fight for it. You gotta stand up for it. And that's what's happening with unions all across our country. They are standing up. They're fighting. UAW, Teamsters, you name it. AFSCME, you're fighting. And by fighting, you will win. And when I look at this crowd, I see a whole bunch of people who know how to take their rights. To AFSCME, you will always have my support as you fight for your rights as workers, as union members, and as the heart of our union-strong Commonwealth. We're here today, just 52 days away, because we know the fate of the labor movement, of our very democracy, is at stake on Election Day. A MAGA-captured, illegitimate Supreme Court that gave us the Dobbs decision, but gave Donald Trump immunity. The same Supreme Court. The immoral maldistribution of wealth in this country. Voting rights restrictions, election interference, Project 2025. We are facing generational challenges as Americans, but I believe under the leadership of Vice President Kamala Harris, we are going to meet that challenge. The Biden-Harris administration has already created more than 15 million new jobs in the last 3.5 years, including the largest year of job growth in American history in 2022. They appointed the first black woman, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, to the United States Supreme Court. And we passed the Inflation Reduction Act, otherwise known as the single largest pro-worker investment in our nation's history to combat climate change, with Kamala Harris there to cast the historic tie-breaking vote. Not one Republican voted for it. And do you know who led the push for the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights Act, federal worker unionization, overtime pay for farm workers? Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. Do you know who helped me introduce the bill that ultimately became the law that made Juneteenth a national holiday, commemorating the end of slavery? Kamala Harris. Do you know who secured $20 billion for homeowners during the foreclosure crisis? Do you know who prosecuted and collected billions of dollars from the oil companies and corporate polluters? Do you know who was the first woman, first African American, first Asian American vice president in the history of the United States? Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris. And she is going to make history again on Election Day. There is no one better to prosecute the case against the felon Donald Trump than Kamala Harris. And while she was leading the vanguard on reproductive freedom and abortion rights, and representing our country at the highest levels of negotiations around the world, Republicans and the Heritage Foundation Billionaire Boys Club were writing Project 2025, their hateful, racist, homophobic, misogynistic, anti-labor roadmap for an extremist, MAGA-fueled future. They don't want to make America great again. They want to make America hate again. That is what they are all about. Collective bargaining rights in Project 2025? Gone. The National Labor Relations Board? Gone. The Federal Labor Relations Authority? Gone. Prevailing wages, project labor agreements, not to mention access to contraception, affirmative action, the Department of Education, LGBTQ rights, gone, 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 gone. It's all in Project 2025. They wrote it down. They told us what they're going to do. They're going to hand Trump the book on January 20th. Gone, gone, gone. Worker protections, gone. Under Project 2025, 1 million federal jobs would be lost because of agency elimination, privatization, budget cuts, hiring freezes. Trump wants to allow states to ban labor unions in the private sector and make it easier for corporations to fire workers who engage in collective action or organizing. And you know the goals have it trickle down to the county, to the state, to the local levels. That's their plan. Donald Trump wants to have GOP not stand for Grand Old Party, but GOP stand for guts, organizing, protections for workers in our country. Not only do we have to beat him, but then we have to pass the PRO Act so we can organize more and more and more. Because the more unions there are, is the more that it protects the rights of every other union that has been working on the front lines. He doesn't want people to have power. He wants the powerful to control the people. We need affordable child care in this country. We have to move forward. We need more housing in this country. We need to deal with this housing crisis, this affordability crisis for people in our country. Otherwise, he's just going to continue with his agenda, which is the rich get richer and the rest pay taxes. That's what he's going to be talking about. Where are the programs that help ordinary families in our country? And when it comes to climate change, he says it's a hoax. And if the natural gas and coal industry give him $1 billion, he'll take the entire IRA off of the books. Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars that otherwise would have gone to businesses in the local communities that then would have had a ripple effect throughout all of the rest of the economy, cities and towns, the state, to hire more people in order to deal with all of that economic activity. So he just wants those oil and gas and coal industry officials to rule this country. Donald Trump won't have a cabinet after he gets elected. He's going to have a cartel running the United States of America. He would run the White House the same way that Dr. Ralph D. Latore has been running the Steward healthcare system, punishing the nurses, the workers, all of the people who do all of the work every single day, who are being laid off by the thousands all across Massachusetts right now, because all the wealthy owners now want to do all of the private equity companies and just suck out all the revenues that just lead them to the firing of thousands of workers. Well, that's a preview of coming atrocities for unions all across this country, and specifically here in New England, unless we fight. We have to make sure that we don't allow these people to hurt other people while they help themselves to all of this wealth in our society. So if we know they have a Project 2025, then we're going to need our own plan for 2024, and that's electing Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. And I know that we can do it, but we cannot agonize, we must organize. And Kamala and Tim are just walking, talking antidepressants every single day, up and energizing our country, up and energizing young people and women and minorities all across our society to get them into the political process, getting registered to vote, and making sure the vote gets out. So all I ask you then today, everybody, will you join Kamala and Tim in a movement to uphold a government and a democracy that works for everyone, a movement that fights for our workers and our unions and their right to organize and collectively bargain for dignity in retirement? Will you organize to make sure that we can pass the Social Security Fairness Act to eliminate the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset programs so that we protect millions of retirees and protect tens of thousands of dollars of their money and their hard-earned Social Security benefits? Will you fight? Will you stand up? Will you want to do that? Protect Roe versus Wade. My father always said 80 me, you gotta fight to insistently, persistently, consistently fighting for the average working men and women in our country. I'm willing to go and do this for the final 54 days. History is on the line. Unions are on the line. Working families are on the line. Let's get out and get this job done.